Here to break it all down, CBSN political contributor Leslie Sanchez and CBS News senior political editor Steve Chaggaris. Thank you both for joining me this afternoon. Steve, let me start with you. We expected Elizabeth Warren to come out and play attack dog. She certainly did that. What did you make of the senator's remarks?
Well, I have to say, this one word I have for all this is fascinating. I mean, this could very well have been an audition for Warren to be Clinton's running mate. There was no shortage of enthusiastic praise for Clinton, coming, by the way, from someone who sat out the primaries, and they even matched their clothes. And Warren brought her anti-Trump script with her, calling him goofy, arguing he's just looking out for himself, and saying he's, quote, a small, insecure money grubber, which is a line she's been using. Interestingly, Trump's camp, by the way, just sent out reaction calling Warren a sellout and a turncoat, basically for supporting Clinton, who they argue is on the wrong side of Wall Street and trade, or at least they think that Clinton's on the opposite side of those issues than Warren, so they're coming after her pretty hard in reaction.
Leslie, how would Republicans react, hypothetically, if this was the ticket going forward? Elizabeth Warren was put on as the vice presidential nominee, both of them being from the Northeast.
I think this was actually the silver lining Republicans were looking for. If you sat there and listened to those remarks together, it was basic class warfare 101. It was basically Hillary Clinton trying to make this almost false case that she's going to kind of confiscating, in many cases, this Bernie Sanders message for working families and you know, it just didn't really fly. I think that there was not a lot of veracity there. She represents Walmart, for example, when she was on the board. She represents Wall Street in the interest of big banks. I just felt it wasn't very genuine. And if anything, you can confiscate a message politically, but you have to have veracity. So I think it creates a tremendous opportunity for Republicans to show a contrast and really the opportunity that free markets give in growing a very strong, vibrant economy.
Steve, what did you make of it? Because here they came out holding hands, acting jovial, laughing. You saw the signs, stronger together. They don't have a history of being that close.
No, they don't. And that's what's sort of fascinating to watch here is Warren, as I mentioned, you know, she didn't even endorse anybody in the primary. She was the last woman in the Senate to come out for Hillary Clinton. They hadn't really had much of a warm relationship. I think a lot of that had to do with where they are on issues such as trade and Wall Street reform, basically polar opposites in the Wall Street part of things. And so to see them now together, again, that's why I sort of mentioned this seems a bit like an audition. It seemed like that Elizabeth Warren's enthusiasm was to show Clinton that she would be enthusiastic about standing up with her on stage for the next 4 months as her running mate. Now, I'm not suggesting that anything's in play here, but there's no question that we know that Elizabeth Warren's being considered, and there's no, there didn't seem to be any trepidation on the part of Warren to stand next to Clinton on stage today, even though for the last couple of years they weren't seeing eye to eye on a lot of issues.
So now this Clinton-Warren event comes against the backdrop of the United Kingdom's vote to leave the EU. The Clinton campaign is out with a new ad hitting Trump on that topic. Let's take a listen and talk about it on the other side.
Enormous shockwaves from Britain's historic vote to leave the European Union. Global markets are plummeting.
Every president is tested by world events. But Donald Trump thinks about how his golf resort can profit from them.
When the pound goes down, more people are coming to Turnberry.
Stocks tank around the world.
Brand new sprinkler system, the highest level.
He's talking about his new sprinkler system.
In a volatile world, the last thing we need is a volatile president.
Leslie, we see Clinton making the steady hand argument there, but should the Clinton camp be concerned that the nationalism exhibited in the UK vote, could that be a preview of what happens here in the U.S. come November?
Absolutely. It is a wave that it's probably been one of the most difficult to predict, not only in terms of the markets, that's what caused such a tremendous rumble within the markets globally, but politically, a lot of people did not read the tea leaves properly. If anything, I think it's humbled a lot of analysts who don't understand the impact of political sentiment, this populist movement, and what they're looking for. Now, I think you have a lot of situations. It just creates more unpredictability, and that may actually benefit the Trump campaign because he's definitely speaking to a line and a movement across the United States that doesn't feel that the current public institutions are functioning properly. And I think there was an interesting line also that came out of Hillary Clinton when she was talking about the political dysfunction. Many could argue that the Clintons are a big part of that political dysfunction for the last 2 decades. So it does create an interesting nuance, and I don't think anybody should ever underestimate where the population, that the general population and electorate is going to fall.
Steve, what's your take on that?
Well, I agree with a lot of what Leslie just said. And I also want to point out, too, that, we look at polls, especially in the battlegrounds, and nationally for that matter, they don't seem to like Clinton much more than Trump, by the way. And it's been a pretty consistent pattern. I mean, both have historically high unfavorable numbers. In our battleground tracker poll that came out yesterday, a majority of Trump or third-party voters in Wisconsin and Colorado, and around half in Florida and North Carolina, they said they might have considered voting for Democratic if someone other than Clinton was the nominee, I think, which is really telling. And that's higher than what Clinton third-party voters would say about Trump. I think what that says is voters aren't enamored with either of these candidates. But she's got an issue, I think, especially in these battleground states, really pulling away from Trump. It's going to be something to watch going forward over the next few months.
All right, Steve Chaggaris and Leslie Sanchez, thank you both so much.
Thanks.